The purpose of this video is to provide some instructional guidelines during the suspension of on-site classes. We recognize that this is a new experience for both teachers and students alike. And as we look to have an extended closure now with the governor saying that we're going to be out of school until April 15th, we're going to highlight what we are expecting in terms of curriculum decisions, instructional delivery, time expectations for students, grading, assessments, supports available for students, and also supports available for teachers. At this time, teachers may begin exposing students to new learning. As teachers make decisions about what this new learning is going to focus on, please make sure that you are considering the New York State learning standards and prioritizing those standards in terms of what is most important for students to know as they move on to the next grade level and or course. It's really important to emphasize we understand you are not going to be able to cover everything that you would have if students were in school. Please know that is not the expectation, and so you're going to focus on that which you think is most important. I also want to point out that Capital Region BOCES is working on a website. Teachers across the Capital Region are in the process of creating instructional videos that will be available to all teachers. And these videos will be in elementary ELA and math, middle school, core content areas. At the high school, they will be available in Regents courses. And so teachers of those courses or subject areas, you may want to, as of April 6th, check the Capital Region BOCES website. We will share that out when it's ready. And you may choose to use some videos from that website as they represent prioritized New York State learning standards. And it may be efficient for you to be able to borrow a video that somebody else has done. If that is not of interest to you or your area is not covered, certainly please be working with colleagues to try to leverage strength in numbers and collaboration during this time as you're working to create instructional videos for your students. For Regents courses, we expect more information by the end of the week. We know that Interim Commissioner Shannon Tahoe said yesterday on a NYSSBA webinar that they are working on this week, the Board of Regents, and so more to come on Regents courses. Advanced placement continue moving forward as outlined by the College Board, getting ready for students for the modified exam. And if you're teaching a college level course, please follow the instructions that you've received from the college or university. As you consider how you're going to provide instruction in new material, please make sure that there is direct support from you as the teacher, that the work that students are asked to do at home can be completed independently. We understand that that looks different for middle schoolers and elementary schoolers and high schoolers, but you know the developmental age of your students, and we certainly want to recognize that families are busy at this time, and so minimal support would be required from families. Also minimal resources, no trips to the craft store at this time, but I guess that's probably obvious since they're not open. Please consider that the work that you're assigning should be meaningful. Avoid creating work just to assign work. We know that there are a lot of great things that you've done in the classroom that you love and you want to be able to expose students to. Some of those may not lend themselves to e-learning, and therefore it's important that you think about sharing activities that are just can be done from home and make sense and aren't creating work just to create work for students. Platform should be universally available. We know that Google Suite is our primary area, our primary learning management tool that we support in Shenendehowa. It is Ed Law 2D compliant. Please know that Google is continuing to make updates to their software, in particular Google Hangout and Meet. We are aware that students may still go in and access some of those links after the teacher has closed out some of the Google Meets, and you may want to share this information with parents as well so that they can monitor, because there's nothing that we do, and even using the safest software precludes parents from needing to keep an eye on what their children are doing. EdLaw 2D talks about the fact that we must safeguard personally identifiable information on behalf of our students. So please avoid those free offers that are coming out. There are no safeguards about personally identifiable information, and they would not be compliant with EdLaw 2D at this point. Other sources that are good for teachers to consider: WeVideo, Screencastify. Also know that Khan Academy has already created great videos, and you may choose to link some of those videos into your Google Classroom or what you're asking students to watch. WMHT, the public broadcasting system, has also redone their programming, knowing that students are out of school, and you may find some content there that would be useful to complement your instruction. We want to emphasize that the time spent by students on schoolwork is not going to be the same as though they were in school. And so the expectation for kindergarten through second grade is about 2.5 hours each week for ELA and math combined, with an additional hour for PE, art, music. So about 3.5 hours each week for K2. For grades 3 through 5, we're looking at 4 hours each week for ELA and math combined, with an additional hour of PE, art, and music. Grades 6 through 8, about 2 hours each week for ELA, math, science, and social studies, and an additional 2 hours for all other subject areas combined. So if you're a tech teacher, a FACS teacher, music teacher, art teacher, world language teacher at the middle school, please think about how what you're assigning can fit within that 2-hour block over the course of a week. At the high school, we're looking at 3 hours per course per week. So that would give most students about 24 hours each week, or possibly 21 if they have a study hall in their schedule. We understand that these are averages, but we also, as much as we got the most positive feedback this last week with so many families and students reaching out saying how well it was going, and the compliments that they were giving to our teachers for making this quick shift to online learning and really staying engaged with students, we know that some families were somewhat overwhelmed, and they certainly have a lot on their plate that they're juggling right now, as many of you do. And so we want to provide these kinds of time frames to establish some sort of clear expectation. Please know you can post additional optional resources if you think that that would be helpful for families. At the secondary model, going along with what I previously said about feeling a little overwhelmed, we heard that it was a little much for some students to go in and see 8 assignments from 8 different classes. And so we're asking that the secondary move to some sort of alternating day model. This should actually be of help to all of you too, as you look to be creating videos some days, connecting with students other days, assigning work, etc. And so either an alternating day model or even a twice a week model, where some classes are reaching out on Mondays and other classes are reaching out on Wednesdays, and then students are given about 5 days or so to complete assignments. Another benefit of this alternating day model is that it allows our special education teachers and AIS teachers to reach out to students and provide support needed. As we look to wrap up the third quarter, please note that at the elementary levels, we're going to be notifying parents that we will not be issuing a report card at this time as a result of change in learning conditions. It's really important that classroom teachers focus on designing lessons for student access and maintaining frequent contact with students. A report card will be issued again in June. Please note that IEP progress reports must be completed in accordance with federal law. At the middle school and high school, we will issue report cards. We are going to extend the quarter 3 report card window by 1 week, so it will now close on April 10th. Please establish grades based on the start of quarter 3 through content that was delivered as of March 13th. As students did not know that we were not going to be in school now for another 4 weeks subsequent to March 13th, they really should have the opportunity to submit late work, missing work, and have their grades positively impacted by redos and retakes. We also understand that it's somewhat of a shortened marking period, and it's important to have a number of assignments that have been evaluated to make sure that we're leveling out student grades and really making sure that the report card serves as a true measure of student learning. Report cards will be issued on April 27th. There have been many questions about how students should be graded while they're at home in participating in online learning. Our grading practices at Shen need to be aligned with the guidance from the State Education Department and our district policy. We have to ensure equitable access to mandated and non-mandated services are provided to all students. This includes students with IEPs, students who are receiving ENL supports, and AIS supports. Non-mandated services are also included in this, meaning if we've been providing individual or small group instruction, that requirement still is necessary for all of us to deliver to students. We also know that students must receive timely feedback on their assessments, even when they're out of school. Teachers can use varied forms of assessments. Graded assignments are probably a better option at this time, and we'll talk about what the grading is going to look like on the next slide. At the high school, it's important to emphasize that students are still working to earn course credit, and we need to provide all supports that we would typically have provided: individual learning plans, specialized supports, even alternate methods of assessments. In fact, we even need to be reaching out more, as we recognize this is an entirely new experience for students and teachers, and certainly we want to make sure that nobody is disadvantaged as a result of this extended off-site learning. So the grading during the suspension of classes, this is really based on the idea that there are great concerns about equity across the state. And while many of our students have Wi-Fi and have devices working, there's still a wide and varied home life situations and expectations for students at home. And therefore, we are going to be using, I would say, a modified pass-fail, where the pass is just designated as evidence of learning, and this will be added to the gradebook, so the teachers will be able to select where students submit assignments and their students are demonstrating that they have learned the compressed curriculum or completed what was assigned. It would be marked as there is evidence of learning. The not yet learned would be used where students either did not complete the assignment, have not engaged yet in the online learning. We know that there are some of those. We'll address that later in the video. Or what they have submitted is not yet showing that they have done the acceptable learning. And so these would be the categories entered into the grade book during the period of off-site classes. So evidence of learning or not yet learned. If you have questions about the status of standardized assessments, we have posted those. You will want to look on Inside Shen, the staff website, under the curriculum and instruction page, and there is a link to a memo that documents the fact that the 3/8 tests and the NYSESLAT have been canceled. We're going to provide updates there on that document related to what happens with Regents exams. Information about the AP, College Board, SATs are all posted there. It's really important that we continue to provide supports for students. In fact, it's mandatory that we continue to provide supports for students, and this includes modifications, accommodations, AIS, individual teacher supports, credit recovery. You also can be reaching out to aides and monitors who have been of assistance to you, asking that they call students, make connections to try to make sure our students are remaining engaged and supported. Resource room consultant and co-teachers need to be listed as co-teachers in every Google Classroom. They will be the ones going in, helping to provide supports to students, reaching out to parents where necessary. Resource room teachers should be providing their virtual daily resource. We understand that doing some of this over the phone or via video conferencing are acceptable options in terms of the provision of service. Special class teachers should have their own classroom instructional platforms that they've been creating and sending out direct communications to students and families while at home. Related services such as OT, PT, and speech will continue. As noted before, that can be done through videos or through the telephone. Whatever is being provided needs to be documented very carefully. Our related service providers are still ready to lend support. Our counselors, student support counselors, social workers, behavior specialists, psychologists, librarians, they are here to support you in your work with students and also our students directly. We understand that this is entirely new for all of you too. And so many of us are working to balance our work life and home life while some of you have lots of little ones at home, and you're trying to figure out how do you reach out to the students assigned to at work and provide care in your household. And so we are hoping that the time expectations that we've outlined for students also serve as a benefit for all of you, and that you are not trying to replicate what we would normally be doing while we were in school. We understand that new technologies and skills are needed. I'm sure many of us have learned a lot, including myself, about new technologies in the past 2 weeks. Please know that there are a number of resources ready to support you. Our professional learning coaches, John and Gail and Anna and Julie and Vanessa, stand ready to support you. Also, Human Resources has a number of options, including supports for you, EAB supports. Feel free to reach out to them, and they would be happy to provide whatever it is you think you're in need of. Just certainly reach out to them, make a contact with Jill Bush, Jen Cornell, and know that our administrative team stands ready to support you as well. So we remain committed to excellence, and I would say the best examples of this are the emails that I've seen from teachers and students and parents over the last week showing incredible dedication to our students, really high quality work shared by teachers with our students still sending in pictures of their smiling faces. And so for that, we say thank you. I hope this provided an important overview in terms of the direction we'll be looking to go in the next 2.5 weeks. Please know there's probably still clarity that needs to be provided at the elementary, middle school, and high school levels, and administrators will be reaching out with further guidance. Thanks so much. Hope you're all well.